Hey everyone, and welcome back. I'm Claire Gamble with Southern Magnolia Realty, and I am so glad that you are here today. So if you're new to the show, this is where we slow down for just a few minutes and talk about what's actually happening on the Mississippi Gulf Coast in the real estate market. Not the headlines you see online, not the national averages that don't really apply to our area, just the local numbers, what they mean, and how they might affect your plans if you're thinking of buying or selling. And the reason that I do these updates every month, or try to do them every month, is simple. I navigate the market so that you don't have to. So today we're looking at the February 2026 numbers, and there's some really interesting things happening right now. At the big picture level, the Mississippi Gulf Coast, across the MLS, the average home sold for $273,977 in February. Homes took about 86 days on average to sell, and we're still sitting at 4.2 months of inventory, which keeps us right in that balanced market range. Now, what I love to look at is what buyers are actually doing in the market, because that tells a little bit deeper story than just the prices. In February, it took about 6 showings on average for a home to go pending, and listings were getting about 2.5 showings each. So that tells us buyers are active, but they're being really thoughtful. They're looking carefully, comparing options, and making decisions a little bit more intentionally than they were a few years ago. And honestly, that's not a bad thing. A thoughtful market is usually a little bit healthier market. Now, let's zoom in just a little bit and kind of talk about what's happening county by county. Starting with Jackson County, the average home price landed at $268,405, with homes selling in about 77 days. Now, inventory there sits at about 3.4 months, which leans slightly more towards sellers, and buyers needed about 6 closings before making a decision. And that's a pretty steady market. Things are moving, but they're not rushing. Buyers are taking their time and making sure the home they choose is the right fit for them. Now, moving over to Harrison County, the average price came in at $265,561, and homes took about 91 days to sell. The inventory there sits at 4.2 months, and homes were getting about 2.5 showings per listing before going under contract. So Harrison County continues to be one of the more balanced areas along the coast. There's enough inventory that buyers have choices, but well-priced homes are still selling at strong numbers. Then we look at Hancock County, where the average price in February was $287,098. Homes there took a little longer, averaging 141 days on market. And the inventory sits around 5.6 months. Buyers still needed about 6 showing before making a decision. And that slightly higher inventory means buyers in Hancock County have a little more breathing room. But it also means sellers need to be intentional about pricing and presentation if they want to stand out. Now, let's take a quick look even farther down into some of the cities, because this is where things really get interesting. In Gulfport, the average home sold for $248,845, with homes taking about 81 days to sell. Inventory there is around 3.9 months, and homes typically need about 8.6 showings before going pending. In contrast, in Biloxi, the average sale price was $270,431, with homes about 105 days on market. Inventories at 4.8 months, and buyers were taking 8.8 showings before making an offer. Now, in Long Beach, the average sale price was $331,316, and homes there moved fairly quick at 64 days on market. But interestingly, buyers needed 17.5 showings on average before deciding, which tells us people are really taking their time in that price range. In Pass Christian, the average sale price came to $333,275, and homes took about 129 days to sell. Inventory was sitting at 6.5 months. That's a market where patience and positioning really matter. And then Ocean Springs continues to be one of the most consistent areas on the coast. Homes sold for an average of $301,872 and took about 81 days to sell, and needed 9.4 showings before going under contract. In Bay St. Louis, the average price was $286,411, with homes taking 121 days to sell and inventory at 6.4 months. And then the Ironville saw an average price of $208,714, with homes taking about 96 days on market. But the listing there, we're only getting 3.5 showings on average, which is actually higher activity levels per listing. Now, if we move slightly north into Stone County, the average price came in at $179,240, with homes selling at about 76 days and inventory sitting at 5.5 months. In Wiggins, the numbers were almost identical, with an average price of $179,240, homes selling in 76 days, and the inventory there is at about 3.8 months. Now, if you go east to Moss Point, they saw homes selling for $230,000 and homes taking about 82 days with inventory at only 3.3 months. Then finally in Pascagoula, the average home sold for $179,000 with homes taking 108 days to sell, and the inventory there's at about 4.5 months. So what all these numbers mean when we step back and take a look at the whole picture, it tells us the Gulf Coast market is ready. It's active, but it's thoughtful. Buyers are still buying, sellers are still selling, but the days of rushing decisions are mostly behind us. For sellers, this means preparation matters, pricing matters, presentation matters. For buyers, it means you've got a little room to breathe. You have options, and if you're prepared financially and mentally, you can find some really good opportunities right now. And then for those of you who are just watching the market and wondering what the future holds, here's what I have to say about that. Real estate tends to reward the people who prepare early. So if buying or selling is somewhere on your horizon this year, even if it's 6 months away or a year away, it's never too early to start understanding the market and building a plan that works for you. That's one of the reasons I do these updates every month. My goal isn't just to talk about numbers, it's to help you feel confident about your decisions when the time comes. And if you ever just want to talk through your options, your situation, your goals, your timeline, I'm always happy to have that conversation. No pressure, no expectations, just a clear conversation. Just good information, a clear strategy, because at the end of the day, my job is simple. I navigate the market so that you don't have to. If you found this helpful, please feel free to share it with someone who might benefit from it. And if you ever have any questions about the market here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, you know where to find me. Until next time, take care, stay informed, and remember that the right move in real estate almost always starts with the right information.